You check the clock. Then you check it again. Only 30 seconds have passed. Feels like 10 minutes. You are standing in a line or sitting in a waiting room or watching a progress bar crawl across a screen. Nothing is happening. And yet your whole body is reacting as if something is very wrong. Why does doing nothing feel so much harder than doing something? The answer is not really about time. It is about your brain and a very old alarm system it refuses to turn off. Your ancestors did not evolve to sit still. For most of human history, stillness was rare, and when it happened, it usually meant one of two things. Either you were resting after real effort, or you were watching. Watching for movement in the grass. Watching for a shift in the wind. Watching for the shape of a predator that had not yet decided to attack. Waiting, to your ancestors, was rarely neutral. It was rarely calm. It was a state of alertness because the cost of not paying attention could be your life. That alertness came with a biological cost. When your brain believes it needs to stay ready, it releases small amounts of stress hormones. Your heart rate ticks up. Your senses sharpen. Time in that state does not feel like it is passing smoothly. It feels like it is being measured second by a part of your brain that is scanning for danger. Now fast forward to today. You are not in the grass. You are in line at the pharmacy. But your brain, the same brain that kept your ancestors alive, does not know the difference. It still treats unstructured waiting as a low-level alert. It still counts. This is where the science gets specific. Researchers have a name for how your brain tracks time without a clock. It is called interval timing. And one of the leading explanations for how it works is something scientists call the pacemaker accumulator model. Here is what that means in plain terms. Imagine a tiny internal metronome in your brain, ticking at a steady rate. Every tick gets counted. The more ticks that get counted, the longer a period of time feels to you. Under normal circumstances, this metronome ticks along quietly in the background. You are not aware of it. You are absorbed in a task, a conversation, a story. Your brain is too busy processing everything else to notice every single tick. But when you are bored or anxious, or simply waiting with nothing to occupy your attention, something changes. Your brain stops filtering out the ticks. It starts counting almost every single one. And because more ticks get counted, more time feels like it has passed, even when the actual clock has barely moved. This is why 5 minutes in a waiting room can feel longer than 5 minutes spent laughing with a friend. The clock is identical. Your brain's accounting of it is not. There is a second piece to this puzzle, and it involves attention itself. Your brain has limited bandwidth. At any given moment, it is choosing what to notice and what to ignore. When you are deeply engaged in something, most of that bandwidth goes toward the task. Very little is left over to monitor the passage of time. But when you are waiting, especially waiting with no task at all, your attention has nowhere else to go. So it turns inward. It starts monitoring itself. It starts monitoring the wait. And the more closely you monitor something, the larger it appears. Think about the last time you watched a pot of water waiting for it to boil. You already know it takes about the same amount of time whether you watch it or not. But watching it feels unbearable, while walking away and coming back feels instant. The water does not change. Your attention does. This effect has actually been measured in laboratories. In classic timing studies, when people are asked to simply wait and estimate how much time has passed, their estimates run consistently longer than the actual elapsed time. But when researchers give people a task to complete during that same interval, even a simple one, their estimates shrink closer to reality. Doing nothing does not save you time. It stretches it. There is also an emotional layer to why waiting feels so uncomfortable, and it has to do with control. Uncertainty is one of the most reliable triggers for stress in the human brain. Not danger itself. Uncertainty about danger. Your ancestors could handle a threat they could see. What was far harder to handle was a threat they could not predict. Waiting almost always involves some amount of uncertainty. When will the line move? When will the results come back? When will the person finally arrive? Your brain does not like open questions like these. It treats them as unresolved threats, low-grade but persistent, and it keeps a small part of your attention locked onto them until they are resolved. This is why a 5-minute wait with a clear countdown feels completely different from a 5-minute wait with no information at all. Airports figured this out decades ago. Passengers who are told their bag will take exactly 18 minutes to arrive complain far less than passengers who are given no estimate, even if the actual wait is identical or even longer. Certainty, it turns out, is almost as soothing as speed. So your brain wants two things during a wait. It wants an estimate and it wants something to do. When it gets neither, discomfort builds, and that discomfort gets translated into your sense of time. The wait does not just feel unpleasant. It feels long. Here is the counterintuitive twist, though, because your sense of time does not only distort in the moment. It distorts in reverse too once you look back on it. In the moment, an unfilled, boring stretch of time feels like it drags on forever. But afterward, when you try to recall it, that same stretch often feels like it barely happened at all, almost as if it disappeared from memory. This happens because memory is not built from raw seconds. It is built from events. Your brain stores time in the form of distinct moments, changes, and new information. A packed, eventful hour gives your memory dozens of little markers to hold on to, so afterward it feels like it lasted a long time. An empty, uneventful hour gives your memory almost nothing to hold on to, so afterward it feels like it barely existed. This is why an exciting vacation can feel like it flew by while you were living it, but feels like it lasted forever when you look back and remember everything you did. And it is also why a long, boring wait feels endless while it is happening, but shrinks down to almost nothing once it is over. In the moment, empty time drags. In memory, empty time vanishes. Your brain, in other words, is running two different clocks. One clock ticks slowly through boredom in real time. The other clock, built later out of memory, barely registers that boredom happened at all. There is one more layer worth understanding, and it has to do with age. Almost everyone notices at some point that time seems to speed up as they get older. A single summer as a child could feel endless. A single year as an adult can feel like it barely happened. This is not your imagination, and it is closely related to everything already covered here. A child's days are packed with new experiences. New sounds, new places, new skills, new faces. Every one of those novelties creates a distinct marker in memory, the same kind of marker that made an eventful vacation feel long in hindsight. An adult's days, by contrast, are often built from routine. Same commute, same desk, same rooms, same faces. Fewer new markers get created, so fewer distinct memories get laid down, and the months blur together into something that feels short in reflection, even though it took just as long to live through. This means the two systems already described, the ticking clock of the present moment and the marker-based clock of memory, do not just explain why waiting rooms feel long. They explain why entire decades can feel like they slipped by unnoticed. Novelty slows down memory's clock in hindsight. Routine speeds it up. Understanding this gives you something useful, and it is not just a trick for surviving a waiting room. If boredom in the moment comes from an overactive internal metronome with nothing else to listen to, then the fix is not to fight the clock. It is to give your attention somewhere else to go. A conversation, a podcast, a puzzle, even a small mental one like counting backward from 100 by sevens. None of these actually change how much time is passing. They simply give your brain something to process other than its own ticking, and the ticking fades into the background the same way it does during any absorbing task. If discomfort during a wait comes from uncertainty, then the fix is information. A number, an estimate, a sense of where you are in the process, even a rough one. This is why a loading bar that appears to move, even slowly, feels less agonizing than a blank screen with no indication of progress at all. Software designers have known this for years. Your brain does not need speed nearly as much as it needs a sense of direction. And if long stretches of routine make time feel like it is disappearing in hindsight, then the fix is novelty. Not a complete overhaul of your life. Just small breaks in the pattern. A new route to work. A new place to eat lunch. A weekend that looks different from the one before it. Each small break gives your memory a marker to hold on to, and those markers are what stretch your sense of a life well lived looking back. None of this requires new technology or a hidden trick your ancestors never had access to. It requires understanding a system that has been running in your brain the entire time, quietly counting, quietly comparing, quietly deciding how long a given stretch of your life is going to feel. So what does this mean for you today, the next time you are standing in a line or waiting for a message to arrive? It means the discomfort you feel is not really about the minutes on the clock. It is about an old alarm system still switched on, still counting every tick because it has nothing else to focus on. It is about a brain built for scanning the grass for movement, now stuck scanning a waiting room for nothing at all. Give that same brain a task, even a small one, and the ticking fades into the background again. Give it a clear estimate, and the uncertainty that was fueling the discomfort starts to ease. This is not a trick. It is simply working with the same wiring your ancestors relied on, instead of against it. The next time you check the clock and 30 seconds feels like 10 minutes, remember what is actually happening. Your body has not slowed down. Your brain has simply started counting.